Beautiful. Okay, so if you can talk to me, never look into the camera. Again, if you can just introduce yourself, so you can say your name, position, your club, and your international.
Mark Cueto, Sale Sharks, wing, fullback, England international.
Awesome. How did you come around to play wing? Is it something that you did from an early age, or?
Obviously, sport's always been like a big part of my life, even from when I was a kid. And my dad was always into his rugby. Played for his sort of local team up in Cumbria and played for the county back in the day. So he's been quite a big influence. But it's just any kid playing sport and whatever else really.
In the basic form, what is your job as a winger?
My job is to score tries. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people are more familiar with football, so a winger is sort of similar to a striker in football. You're there to finish off and score the tries, but the game's evolved a lot over the last sort of 10 years, and your role's a lot more than just scoring tries. Defensively is a big part of the game. Fielding kicks, chasing kicks, communication with the other back three to fill the space, so there's no sort of holes for opposition just to get any sort of easy field position and stuff like that. So yeah, there's quite a few roles in the position.
Quite leads us to my next question. How much communication is between you, the fullback, and the opposite winger?
Not so much between me and, if I'm on the wing, it's difficult to speak to the opposite winger, but there's a lot between talking to your 13 and then talking to your fullback, and like I say, you continually sort of, the whole sort of pendulum that you hear people talk about, and ultimately as a three, you're trying to cut down, like I said, sort of field position, sort of kicking options for the opposition, but at the same time you don't want to sit three men back all the time, because then they'll just attack you with the ball in hand. So it's sort of, there's a lot of unnoticed work, if you know what I mean. We get the glory from getting the ball over the try line, but at the same time there's a lot of work that you do that you don't necessarily get patted on the back for, but if you weren't to do it, the team would be exposed really.
Fair enough. Does playing with your gunshot make it different to communicate with people? That's something I found playing.
I suppose you just get used to it. I've been playing professionally for 13 years, and then obviously amateur before that, and I've had a lot of time with my gum shielding, so it helps when you get a decent fitted one. A lot of the dentists do them these days, as opposed to, as a kid I used to just buy one out of Tesco and the whole like hot water and stick it in your mouth, all that. But it does sort of affect your communication and your breathing to a degree. If I get a period where I can take it out, I'll always take it out, because I find it easier to get my breath back when I don't have my gum shielding.
Brilliant. Is there a difference in playing 11 and 14? And do you have a preference to which side that you play?
I don't have a huge preference, but I've played 90% of my rugby on the right wing, and it's totally down to my first opportunity was on the right wing, so that's why I ended up playing there, and things went well, so I was a right winger. But on paper, I'm probably a left winger, because I'm left-footed. I step off my left foot predominantly, so I'm always going to step in field as opposed to being on the right and stepping off the field, as it were. So whatever foot you are predominantly would make the decision. Just from a fielding kicks and kicking the ball and stuff, if you're running down the right hand side of the field on an arc, it's easier to kick off your right foot than it is off your left, equally on the other side. So on paper, I'm probably a left winger.
Do you have to be quite versatile as a winger then? I mean, what would you say the key attributes someone needs to be able to play effectively?
I think you need to be pretty versatile, whatever position you play. There's guys You know, I've played wing, I've played fullback, I've played centre. Probably only your half-backs are out and out 9s and 10s, but then, you know, we've got 10s here that also play 15. So generally you have to be versatile, but then at the same time you don't want to be too versatile, because then you're almost like a jack of all and master of none type of thing. So the versatility helps. You know, if for argument's sake your 9 or your 10 are stuck at the bottom of a ruck, you can't wait for them to get out to play the ball. You need someone to step in to move the ball from the ruck. You might need to step in at 10. As a winger, you sometimes find quite often that you end up slotting in at first, second receiver when those guys are tied up in the previous ruck.
How do you balance being fast with brute strength? Obviously, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, I suppose it's a lot of it's natural, really. You know, you normally find the kids that are quick end up in the backs, and the kids that aren't so quick end up in the forwards, and then naturally the way you play the game, you get quite a lot of speed training out of the position that you play in. So like I was saying before, not so much carrying the ball, but there's a lot of work that you do that needs a speed element, you know, whether it's chasing box kicks or covering the backfield. A lot of the work we do is explosive, so that in itself is keeping your speed, as opposed to, you know, a prop or a front five is a lot more sort of brute strength with plodding around, if you know what I mean. So, but on top of that, you try to do power stuff in the gym and speed stuff, speed training and bits and bobs like that.
That also kind of leads to the next question. How do you play against physically bigger people that play in a wing? Come to mind people such as Matt Banahan, who's got, you know, on you personally, he's got 20 kilos in weight and 7 inches.
Yeah.
How do you combat that on the pitch?
I'd probably rather play against someone bigger than me than someone smaller than me, because you know what they're going to do. You know that they're not going to run round you. You know that they're not going to put footwork on you. So they're just going to come straight at you. So from that point of view, from a defensive element, it's pretty up and down. As long as you can tackle, you know, and you're not expected to smash guys like that backwards because of the difference in size and weight. Whereas you come across a Shane Williams or a Jason Robinson, guys like this, you know, they can make you look silly. So I always found it easier playing against bigger wingers than smaller wingers, to be honest.
How does your training regime go around how you play them at wing? Is it more cardio based than, say, you know, one of the forwards?
Not really. Like I say, that, you know, in the season now, everybody pretty much does the same schedule in terms of, you know, Monday, Tuesday there's weights and rugby. There's normally a unit session in there, so obviously the forwards will be scrimmaging and doing the line out, so as the backs will be doing strike plays. So, you know, we're doing maybe more aerobic in that element of training, but then we're still doing team training all together. So it just, like I say, you know, in a field session, if we're doing attack, you know, say for a basic line out attack, forwards are doing the line out, I'm on the wing, I'm probably doing a 40-metre shuttle every line out attack, whereas the forwards will just be doing the line out and then getting around the corner. So just naturally in what you're doing, the position you're in, the training does vary, but it's not, you know, everybody's just doing their role, if you know what I mean.
Okay, opposite that, how does your diet build around that? Is there anything that, you know, sort of completely off the list? Beer and curry is the first thing that springs to mind.
Yeah, obviously, you know, everyone has to watch what they're eating and watch what they're drinking. You know, you can't just eat takeaways and get drunk every night. You know, that side of the game's moved on massively, and you wouldn't be able to keep up if you lived that lifestyle. You know, the guys that are doing that get found out pretty quickly. So a lot of it's sort of personal responsibility. We do get monitored here. Obviously, we eat here every day, so you know, you don't get really a choice. You get choices of there's 2 or 3 options, but it's not like you can order a curry. So half your diet is controlled here, but then the other half when you're at home, I'd say the boys are pretty good. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind a takeaway once a week, normally at the weekend, and a couple of beers, but if you want to keep playing at this level, you just can't afford to do it.
How many meals would you say you eat on average in a day? How many calories would that entitle you to consume?
Well, I'm a bit of a freak in that I've never had a huge appetite, so that's when the supplements come in. So, you could argue that, you need, if the average is 2,500-3,000 calories a day, you could argue you need double that. But it's so difficult to physically eat that. So that's where the protein and everything comes in post-training, and that's all provided here as well. So, the minute you come out of the gym, there's a fridge there on the side, straight to the fridge, take your protein shake, and then your meals are upstairs. It's all controlled pretty well.
Awesome. Do you have any techniques that help prevent injury, especially around the areas that rugby players tend to go, so sort of your knees, your ankles, your shoulders, your neck?
I think, obviously, I am getting on a bit now, so I've had my sort of fair share of injuries, nothing major, touch wood. But everybody's got a sort of rehab program specific to them. So whether it's shoulders, knees, back, ankles, whatever it is. And you tend to find that it might only be a 10 or 15 minute program each day, but everybody tries to get that program in to, prevent certain niggles or injuries coming back.
Brilliant. How important would you say a warm-up is and a cool-down to a player?
It's more when you get older. It's one of those things that everybody seems to. It's not too bad once a day, but if you're doing a double field session, it's that second. So going out after lunch when you've already been out, you've already warmed up, you've already done an hour, you've already cooled down, you've had your lunch, then to try and go out and do it again is quite tough. I'd say it doesn't really bother you till you get to about 30. You just sort of crack on, but you get over 30 and it's hard work. So, but it is important. You see some of the young lads just go out and just flat out straight away. But me and a few of the older boys need a good 5-10 minutes just to get moving.
Is a warm up and cool down critical an aspect to helping a player recover from matches?
Yeah. We've got the cryo chamber outside, and that's being used at the minute, and that whole process is about recovery and helping you recover quicker and getting better shape for the next training session.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything you do, before a match to sort of mentally psych yourself up, like when you're in the changing room before you go out onto the pitch? There's routines. I think everybody. I'm a massive routine man on a match day. I know. When I want to get strapped, when I want to eat, it's more just finding a routine that potentially prepares you in the right way for going out on the field at kick-off time. So, I could sit all day here and talk about routine. I'm a bit of a nose for that. Fair enough. Who do you think is the best winger in the world, and why? What do you think makes them so good at what they do?
The best winger in the world. Mate, I think it'd be difficult to pick one guy out. Obviously, over my career, guys like Shane Williams, at one end of the scale, being so small but so robust and getting so many caps and tries at international level, compared to somebody like a Joe Rococo or someone like that, the New Zealand winger that was the other end of the spectrum, big and heavy but still quick and, an unbelievable winger. So, I'd struggle I'd have to give you about 4 or 5 guys. I think Brian Abana, again, Jason Robinson, more of a fullback, but, there's just some unbelievable, players out there.
Last couple of questions. You've probably been asked this a million times, but your try against South Africa in the World Cup final, do you personally think it was a try? Have you watched it?
Yeah, I do. I've seen it a few times, and you get a gut instinct, a gut feeling when whether you're a try scorer or a striker or whatever, and my gut instinct was that I scored it. And on the replays, you know, there's probably 99 images that show that it is and one that shows it's 50-50. So for me, it should always be given.
Fair enough. And what's it like being the highest try scorer in the in the Liga Premiership?
Yeah.
Quite a few ahead of the next person who actually still plays.
Yeah, it's good. It's, you know, things like that. I think when you start out as a player, you don't think about getting into that position and being a top try scorer in the Premiership and all that sort of stuff. It's more when it happens that it's nice that you've sort of done that, and you know, it's almost like a recognition of the work that you've put in over the years and all that sort of stuff. So it's you know, it was nice when I sort of broke the record and I got an award and all this sort of stuff. So no, it's good.
Do you have a try, especially at international level, let's say, that you single out as your favourite? You think that's my proudest moment?
International would probably be, I think, my first season with England. We played South Africa. I think it was my third or fourth game, and I scored off. It was a crossfield kick from Henry Paul of all people.
The video they were out.
Yeah, and it was just a really good team try, and it's always nice to score those crossfields. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I scored a few. I scored one at the weekend actually for Sale, but that for England was one that sort of stands out really.
Brilliant. Last question, a bit of a joking one. How quickly can you run the 100 metres?
Probably not as quick as I used to be able to. You know what? I've not been timed since I was about 15 at school. A lot of the stuff we do now is all sort of 10 metre, 40 metre. So I've no idea, but I think, you know, in my prime, probably about 11 seconds.